Hey everybody, how are y'all doing? This is Gnarlo here. Just gonna let y'all know I have kind of taken a vow to myself. One of my New Year's resolutions, if you will, that I have planned I will play a board game a week. Um, Not necessarily record it and upload it now, but actually play at least a board game a week. And I've been doing pretty good. I played Onirum, which is a solo card game on my phone at work the other day, and I count that as a board game because it is identical to the actual solo card game. And just a whole lot easier to do it on your phone than some people call it shuffle the board game. And because you shuffle all the dang time, you're constantly reshuffling and reshuffling. So it's a lot easier to do on the phone, on the app, than it is in person. So I've played several games of that. And today we are going to play some Fallout Shelter. The Fallout Shelter, the board game. Y'all remember Fallout Shelter, I'm sure the iPhone app game, which I also play, and I will see if I can put a screenshot or two of it up. But Fallout Shelter, it comes in this wonderful tin box here. I know there's a lot of people that don't like tin boxes. All the hardcore, serious gamers hate tin boxes, but I like tin boxes. I think they're fine, and this one also has the added benefit of it looks like a lunchbox. In fact, I have a lunchbox just like this that the deluxe version of I think Fallout 3 or Fallout 4, one or the other one came in a actual lunchbox. And this looks like a lunchbox, which is good because lunchboxes in Fallout Shelter, the app game, lunchboxes are some of the basically loot boxes that you get either through rare loot in the game or that you can buy in the store, of course, the Bethesda store. So, of course, this looks like a lunchbox. So it's thematically appropriate. And this here is a game that is much like the app. It is very, very similar to the app. As you see here, you've got a upper level here. You've got the Wasteland. You've got the vault door, the vault entrance. You've got an elevator, water treatment plant, a diner, and a power generator. And below that, you've got elevators going down. And just like in the app, you are building your Fallout shelter down here and bringing in all these dwellers, which are represented by these little pip boys, as you see here. And those are your dwellers. And if you do things right, you get happiness. You got a certain number of resources. As you see here, food, electricity, and water. You get those in resources. You convert those into happiness. And whoever has the most happiness at the end of the game wins the game. Now, this is a game for 2 to 4 players, but over on Board Game Geek, there's a number of solo variants that have been produced, as well as an actual co-op variant that someone has come up with so that you can play it like 2-player co-op type and try to win the game that way. So we're going to be using one of those solo variants. I didn't write down who it was that created it. Red text will throw his name across the screen here. You can find that variant in the files section, Board Game Geek, under the Fallout Shelter game. And yeah, it's a fun game. I have played one game of it solo so far. I played it on easy mode. There's 2 modes in that particular variant. There's easy mode and hard mode, and we're going to play one hard mode now. I played one in easy mode just to get the feel of the game, and I'm looking forward to it. This game has a number of features. One thing is that it's tile laying. You've got these rooms up here. You see your rooms across here in the elevator. We're going to be building a row of rooms along here. We're going to have 1 row of rooms, 6 rooms across there. The game will end. The game's got a couple of timers. One of the timers is when you get 6 rooms built across this row. The other timer is you see this deck of threats, basically the enemies in the game. When that threat deck runs out, when you run out of enemies, that's the other end game timer. But yeah, so you've got all these things, kind of like y'all have seen us play, me and Mindfiend play Suburbia before. You've got rooms up here you can buy for various things, and then you lay them down. So you've got tile laying. The spaces on these rooms have worker placement sites for putting your pit boys. So you got worker placement. You've got resource management because you've got these resource cubes here that you will be putting these various tracks and you will be earning them off the board, putting them down here, and then spending them for stuff. So you've got resource management. You've got basically kind of I won't say deck building, but hand management, because you can also get these they call them gift cards, but if you were playing like one of the other Fallout games, they would essentially be the items, the artifacts that you find out in the Wasteland. For instance, we got power armor, a lab coat, and a missile launcher. And so you're not deck building, but you're hand building. You're deciding which of these cards that you want to buy and use to make your pip boys, your workers, more useful. So you've got hand management in that. And then on top of that, you've got dice that you roll over here. You got dice you roll for threats to appear and for combat. So it's also a dice chucker. It's an Ameritrash dice chucker. So yeah, lots of good stuff. You can even call it somewhat Euro. It's very Euro-y because you're pushing cubes around. So hey, you've got everything. This is a game that just has everything in it. So there you go. Oh, and I tell you, yeah, I was pulling some vines and brush out, so I've got some poison ivy on my hand, especially this one. So just bear with it. I promise you won't catch anything through the screen. So there you go. We're going to set this up. Oh, I wanted to show y'all this too. This is a game, of course, by Bethesda, who owns the Fallout stuff. But on top of that, the Fantasy Flight Games, FFG, produced the actual board game here. And as you see, each person, it plays up to 4 players, and each one's got his little. This is the blue player's little dashboard here, and each player's got 7 meeples to play with. And as you see, they actually made the meeples into little pip boys, and there's 7 different ones. It's not just they didn't just use meeples, and they just didn't use the same pip boy over and over again, which they could easily have done. You got 7 different pip boys, all matching these special ratings. You got strength, perception, endurance, the little running guy. You got charisma, you got intelligence, you got agility, and you've got luck. All the 7 attributes that you can have in the game. So that is just amazing. Well done, FFG. Y'all definitely went the extra little space there. And indeed, the fact that this whole thing, putting it in a tin lunchbox and making all the rooms and everything look so much like the game, y'all have done a wonderful job in it. So we're going to get started now. I'm going to set this up, and then I will explain to you the little rules changes as we go along between the regular game and this little solo variant that we're going to be playing. Okay, folks, we've got the game set up and ready to go in the twin worker variant mode, and we've also brought my Pip-Boy from my Fallout 3 lunchbox to watch over the things. You think this is a good game? Yes, you do, don't you? All right. So the way this works in the twin variant, you start out, you have your worker here that you take 2 workers of the color that you're playing and 2 workers of any other color. In this case, we chose the white and the blue for our primary, and you're going to put them out on the board on alternating turns. Like we'll play just like in a regular game, you would have 2 workers, and you would put your 2 workers out on the board in spaces, and then somebody else would put their workers out, and the next person put their worker out, all the way up to 4 players if you have them. In this case, we'll start out putting our blue workers on the board, and then we will do threat, and then we'll leave them on the board, and we will put our white workers on the board. And our blue workers will act kind of like a opponent, and that they will be on the board blocking spaces, so we won't be able to constantly go to the same spaces. It's a very elegant. And then once we've got the white people on the board, we will remove the blue ones, and we will play the blue ones, and the white ones will be marking us, so will be blocking us. So it's a very elegant solution to simulate having an opponent out there blocking places so that you can't go to it. The person that created this particular variant Says he heavily based and borrowed and stole from the solo variant of the game Newsfjord, which is a solo fishing game, about a solo worker placement game about the fishing village of Newsfjord. And he said, very heavily based this particular variant on it. And as Picasso always said, good artists borrow, great artists steal. Or at least it's attributed to him. And if he didn't say it, then I'm sure he would have been very happy to steal that saying. All right, we got our cup of coffee here and enjoying it. Now, to start off, we're going to start off playing just like we would in the regular game. So we're going to take one of our little meeples here, and we choose which area we want. And right now we don't have any resources, so we can't, there's some spaces that require resources. For instance, if you go to the vault entrance, you can recruit another meeple, another dweller, but you need 3 food in order to get him. So obviously any of the ones that actually have resources needed, we're not going to be able to take right now. So we need to work primarily over here in this area with the water treatment plant, the diner, and the power generator. So I think what we're going to start out with is I am going to put one of my workers in the diner. We'll put him right here on this spot, which is A. Now, for instance, what this A means, well, first we'll do this. I'll put him on this spot here, and we will get 2 food. So we get 2 of the resources cubes, and we come and we put them into food. So we've got 2 food in our resource now, and you can only hold up to 6. So once you fill this bar, anything else is wasted. Now, you'll see that this particular space has an A on it. That stands for agility in our special, as you see down here, special. Well, the way you get things like special is you have to train your meeples. For instance, right up here, there are items that will do it. For instance, this lab coat here. If we get this lab coat and it becomes one of our properties, on our turn, we can exhaust it, and that's called tap. If you play Magic the Gathering, you call it tapping, but of course Magic has decided that that's a copyrighted term of theirs, so no game can call it tapping now. They have to call it stuff like exhausting. So you exhaust that lab coat, turn it sideways, and tap it, and you can train any dweller in intelligence. So you would take your dweller, and you'd put him on intelligence, and then he would have the intelligence trait. So if you had any of these spaces up here, which we don't have at the time, that had the eye on them, then he would get a double bonus. So for instance, if our guy here had agility, if we had trained him up in agility and went here, instead of getting 2, he would get 4. Okay, so right now we've gotten the 2. So we have to decide what we're going to do with our last worker here. Remember, we don't play the white ones this turn, just the blue ones. And I think I want to get more dwellers, more meeples out on the board. So I am going to play him on the second one of the diner, right there. And that will give us 1 food. So we'll bring it over here. We have 3 food now. Now, with our blue workers out on the board, it's time to roll for threat. So we're going to use the numbers across the board. And we've got an 11. We're knocking our elevator shaft around. So an 11 is right over here in the diner. You see 9, 10, 11. Now, we draw the top threat off of the deck here. And we're going to get a glowing one. The glowing one's kind of tough. It takes 8 or higher on 2 dice to take them out. So we're going to come right over here. We will put the glowing one, which these little cards are very difficult to get off the table once you've laid them down. And I don't have any nails right now. It's what I always talk about at work whenever some of the patients are talking about the difference between male nurses and female nurses. It's the females have an advantage over me, as most of them have longer nails than I do. So you see they've got transparent cards. I love the transparent plastic of the threat card. So you see them in the actual room there. They take that place, and since it landed on a place where you have a worker, the worker is injured.
No,
Down
not
he
it.
goes. Now, that is a change from the normal rules of Fallout Shelter here. Fallout Shelter, normally everybody would put their meeples out. You bring all your meeples back when you recovered them, and then you would put threats on the board. In this particular variant, you put the threats on the board while your last set of meeples that you put out, in this case the blue ones, are still on the board. And if one lands on the space where you have a worker, that worker is injured. And we'll show you what you have to do with injuries when you get to that part. So there's our threat for this round. And we are going to go ahead now and we play the white meeples. They're the next ones to go out on the board. All right, so the whole thing was we were gathering this food so that we could get more workers. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take this one. We're going to bring him out here. We're going to go to the vault entrance, and we'll put him down right there. As you saw, this takes 3 food. And for that 3 food, we're going to get a worker. So let's go ahead and use up our 3 food, put that back in the supply, and then we will grab a worker of each color. That's another part of this variant, is that whenever you get a new worker, you get a new worker of each color. So we'll have a blue one and a white one. So there we've got that one set. And we will get these workers at the end. Whenever anything that you get over here, you always, you don't get immediately stuff like that. You get that when the people, whenever you recruit new people, you get them when you bring this one back. So we'll get him at the end of the next turn whenever we bring the white player back. All right, we've got one more white dude here. Where are we going to put him? We are out of resources once more. I'm looking at the storage up there. I would really like... Let's see, we've got water purification. We've got anything that makes us happy. That med bay looks nice. That med bay would not only heal, but you can educate people and get them to have their special. Plus, we've got stuff over here that we can get from outside, like the missile launcher that I really like. So I think I'm going to get some water. Let's see about getting water. Do we have any? Yeah, we need perception for water treatment. We don't have that. So let's see about getting just some water. We'll take that down and put him on the first one here. It doesn't really matter. They're both the same in the water treatment plant. But that will give us 1 cube of water. And that is the end of that part of the turn. Now, since we played the white figures this time, we bring back the blue ones. So we'll bring this dude back, and we bring the injured one back. Still injured. He stays injured whenever he comes off the board. All right, so now we roll for threat again. Let's roll, see what we're going to get. We get a 3, we get an 8. Knock this guy over here. So with an 8, our next threat is going to be right here on the water treatment. And this one is going to be a feral ghoul. Let's go ahead, let's take this. Put a feral ghoul on the first space of the water treatment. And we've got another injured worker down. All right, it's not going very well with our threats and our injuries here. We need to start working on trying to get rid of some of those, and that's what we're going to do. Now, first, we're going to take the injured guy. And injured people, if you don't have like a med bay, you look for this symbol right here. That symbol tells you that you can put an injured guy there and heal them. You see that stim pack up above. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring the injured guy to the elevator, and that will heal him up. Of course, we can't do anything else with him this turn. We have to wait till next turn to get him back and get him back to power. That's why you try and get as many new workers in, because you see, that means we really only have 1 go that we can do this turn. only one action we can take. However, we have a water, and we have the space in the wasteland. So we are going to leave the vault. We will walk all the way out, go out the vault door, and go here, spend that one water, and we will get a gift. So I'll take my one water away. And then gifts. I think we are going to get the missile launcher. And the missile launcher here, it says exhaust after fighting to re-roll both dice and use the new result. So that gives us a roll over if we do not like our fight. And that's going to come in very handy with the ghoul and the glowing one up here that we have to fight. All right, so whenever you take either a gift or a room off the board, you have to replace it. Next one up is a chemistry flask. Game end, you get 1 happiness for each 2 of your water. Excellent. All right, so that plays out the that plays out the blue ones. So we have finished with the blue ones now. So at this point, we can bring back our white workers. We got the one injured one. And we've got this dude that was sitting at the vault entrance. So we can bring him back. And when he comes back, he brings the 2 new workers with him this time. So as you see there, now we have 3 white workers and 3 blue workers, 2 of which are already out on the board because they've had their turn. Now it's time to roll for threat again. Roll for threat, we get a 4. A 4 is up here at the vault door. We're going to put a threat down on this space here. And this time it's going to be a glowing rad scorpion. Tough creature, 9 or higher. Take him out. So the glowing rad scorpion. We now have 3 threats on the board. Would have 4 if we hadn't already rolled one on the feral ghoul there. So we have got to work at trying to get some of those threats off. That's why I was working at getting that missile launcher here. All right, now we have an issue. This guy is injured, but the only place we have on the map right now is the elevator shaft. So we're not going to be able to heal him because it's already been taken up with the blue guy there. This is what I talked about. This is the guy that, as he said, he took his inspiration from Newsfjord and how it works. And as I said, this is an elegant way of having a second player, elegant way of simulating a second player that doesn't require, spreadsheets and a flow chart. And a bunch of extra rules. And that's what I like. I like the game. I like the stuff. I like the game rules to get out of the way. That's why I like this solo variant so much. It gets the game rules out of the way and lets you get to playing the game and concerning yourself with your strategy and concerning your thoughts about how am I going to play this without having to concern your thoughts with, okay, what do I do now to pretend there's somebody else playing and make this a challenge. Okay, so what I'm thinking now is that we really need to start working on getting a med bay. And as you see, the medkit bay, the cost for the rooms to build them is down in the bottom right corner. And the med bay takes 3 energy to build, and then the question mark is 1 resource of any other color. So we can use 4 energy, we can use 3 energy in a food, we can use 3 energy in a water. But one thing we gotta have is energy. So let's take our first worker here. We're gonna bring him over to the power generator. We don't have any sort of special. So that's gonna give us 2 energy for that. Put him here. I think we're going to put our next one into the second space in the power generator. That will give us our 3rd energy cube. See, now we have 3 of that, so we're most of the way toward getting the med bay there. Now we got to get 1 resource of any other, but we can't. Our worker here is down. There's no place to heal him. We're not going to be able to place him this turn, so he is going to have to pass. So Now we get to pull our workers back, our blue workers. We'll take that one. We'll bring him back. And is that all of them? Yes, that's all of them. So we got all 3 of our blue workers back, and we roll for threat again. This time we've got a 7. 7 is the elevator. The elevator shaft never gets a threat. It's like a free space. So we do not add yet another threat to the board. That is good. All right, blue players work now. Okay, we can't get any more energy, but we can get a water. So I'm going to move 1 over here onto this water space. That will give us a water resource down here. And now we have enough. We have 3 energy and a water. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. I am going to move this one. Before I do that, I'll move him over here onto the diner and get 2 food. Before I continue on. I'm going to get the water guy too, so I'm not moving out, but I'm going to move that one there. So now I've got 3 energy, 2 food, and a water. I'm going to save that water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the med bay. So we move this guy to our elevator. So we move him to the elevator here. You always have to do what's on the bottom. And the bottom is build. So we can build a card here. And for building that card, we're going to get 2 happiness. So we're going to get our first 2 happiness here. And we have points on the board now, people. So we're going to build that card. What we're going to build is a med bay. I will put it down here on this side. And we need to spend the cost. That's going to be 3 energy. And then 1 cube of any other. And that's why I got the food. Because I want to save that water for going out into the wasteland and buying another gift. So there we are. We have got a med bay now. A good move there. And now we get to pull our white characters back. So both of them will come off the power generator. And then we're going to roll and see what threat we get. This time we've got a 9. And a 9 will be right here in the water treatment plant. It's going to be the other part of the water treatment plant. It is going to get another feral ghoul. Apparently the feral ghouls are breeding. We got 2 in there now, and we've got another injured worker. No. So now you understand why we wanted that med bay in a bad way. All right, so that ends that part of the turn. Next up is the white's turn. We're going to take him, we're going to move him to the elevator shaft here, and we will heal him up. So that is his turn. Next up, we are going to take this one. We are going to go out here. We're going to spend 1 water cube. To get a gift. So that gift is going to be, we don't have, well, actually, yeah, we don't have, well, and we do have intelligence. That might actually help. That's what I'll do. I'm going to grab, yes, we'll grab this one for the moment. The power armor, you can spend an energy to count as train for a threat. For instance, this threat you see here requires fighting feral ghouls, requires intelligence. And if you put a character that's got intelligence and he beats the ghoul, he gets 2 rewards. He'll get 2 happiness back when he defeats the ghoul instead of just 1. And the power armor will count for that, but we don't have any energy. Our energy is blank. So I'm looking at what actually helps right now. And what will help us right now is that lab coat. We don't have to spend any energy. We just have to exhaust it. Excuse me. And we would get a character with intelligence. We train them up in intelligence. So that's why we'll go ahead and choose the lab coat there. In addition, we are going to see what the next gift is. The next gift is a circuit board, which is at the end of the game, gain a happiness for every 2 energy. All right, we'll put that. Those are cards to help you get happiness for resources. Otherwise, resources really don't have a use at the end of your game. Next up, I am going to go and fight I think I'm gonna fight one of those feral ghouls. Let's get a ghoul off the map. I could use some food, but there's no place to get that. I could use some energy of those power generator. Yeah, I'd rather start getting some of these threats off the board. So I'm going to put him here. As you see, he needs a 7 or higher. And we do have the missile launcher, which gives us a reroll. It's like in Zombicide, having plenty of ammo. And we got a 10, so we have taken him out. Excellent. Now, when you defeat something like that, you go ahead. We'll get the 2 happiness. Well, I mean 1 happiness. Yeah. Whoops. I forgot to exhaust my lab coat. Let's go ahead and exhaust the lab coat. That gives that guy intelligence, and since intelligence is what you need, we're going to get 2 happiness instead of just 1. So I'll bring those over here. As you see, we now have 4 happiness. We now have a score of 4 for our vault here. All right, we're going to leave him on the board. That will be the fact that he's standing here and standing on top of the feral ghoul and he's not lying down means that ghoul has been defeated. So we know we can remove that one next time. Next, we are going to remove, that's all the white guys, so let's remove the blue guys now. He comes off the board. The injured one comes off the board. This one comes off the board. We're back to 3, although 1 is injured. But we do have a med bay. The elevator shaft is blocked, but we do have a med bay now. So let's roll for threats. Threat is a 4. And a 4 is the one that's got the glowing red scorpion on it. So we don't get any new threats. Now we have a new one. Since we have a med bay down here, we have to roll for threats on this line now. As soon as you start getting rooms down here, you have to roll for threats in those rooms. In this case, the only thing that can hurt us is an 8 or 9. Because that's a 7, 8, 9. So an 8 or 9 is the only things that can bring up a threat. And we got a 5. A 5 is over here on this side. There's nothing here, so no new threats on that level. Okay. We will take our injured guy first. We are going to move him over here to the med bay. There's 2 slots. 1 requires food, 1 doesn't. We'll put him here. That is going to heal him with a stim pack. And when we bring him back, he will be trained up in endurance, which will be good because that will help us fight that glowing one there. Will help us get rewards for the glowing one, not necessarily fight it. Now we have 2 more. I would like to get some more workers. So let's see about food. That's up next. I'm going to bring him here. We don't have anything that will give us agility. Oh, we need at the end of the turn, you untap or unexhaust your items here as well. We don't have anything that can give us agility, so we will get 2 food for the diner. That brings us back up to 3. And then we will take him back out to the vault entrance, spend the 3 food, and that will give us another pair of workers, a white one and a blue one. So when we pull him back at the end of the next turn, we'll get those 2 workers back. Let's make sure we spend our food, and we're back down to no resources again. Now, time to recall our white meeples. We're going to get all 3 of them back. And since we defeated this feral ghoul, when we pull the white worker off of him, we get rid of the ghoul. So he goes into the discard pile. So the water treatment plant is available for use again.